Okay, so can as you mentioned, the taxpayer, what can they expect now when it comes to that debate? The naysayers are saying, well, you're just going to go through the motions. The debate itself won't carry any footing. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
Well, I think that the debate serves a very useful function. That's something that obviously I've changed my mind somewhat over the last period of months. There was a rigorous debate in the House of Assembly during the spring session, which went down, I think, for the longest session that we've had in our province over the last number of years, especially around the ATIP legislation. There was very significant debate, and I think that it's very important that all members of the House of Assembly have their opportunity to speak and then to vote on this project.
The question of a referendum, a lot of people are wondering if the government will hold a referendum on the Muskrat Falls issue in order to have their say.
No, we have no intention of holding a referendum, Kerry. We had an election last fall where Muskrat Falls was front and center. There was, as you remember, in the House of Assembly during that spring session, there was a lot of questioning on Muskrat Falls, a lot of issues raised. So we went through an election and we were given a clear majority, and we'll do now that which the people have given us the power to do, and that's make decisions. What we've done is we've taken the various profiles of the ratepayer in the province. For example, we have 90,000 people who don't use electric heat. We have another 140,000 people who use electric heat and electricity. We've developed profiles because they use less electricity. We've used profiles of them and developed charts for each one, along with the average ratepayer, who would be someone who would use approximately 1,570 kilowatt hours of energy per month, and then charted all that so that people will have a very clear idea as to where these rates are going. We've checked it with the rates calculator, and it all appears to be consistent.
Just to get back real quick to the Labrador industrial rates legislations you're looking at bringing in. Say I'm an iron ore producer. Well, not a producer. I've got a discovery. I want to take it to the next stage, and I want to build a plan to develop the resource. One of the key things I need to know is how much am I going to be paying for electricity? What would you tell me?
Well, the rates paper will outline specifics, but what I can tell you is that we have to be competitive with Quebec, and Quebec currently pays around $57, $58 a megawatt hour. That includes a generation cost and a transmission cost. However, those rates vary across the province or across the country from $30 in Manitoba to $90 in Ontario, and they of course they go up over time. Interestingly enough, and no one's ever noticed this, like so many other issues, the electricity that IOC and Wellbush Mines currently gets, and that's as a result of the Twinkle block, the 225 block, which came from shutting down Twin Falls and diverting the river, they currently pay approximately $5 to $6 a megawatt hour for the energy. So that's gone on for 40 years, and it's never been really highlighted because it's not been an issue.
Interestingly, Alderon is telling its shareholders they're expecting something around the area of $40 a megawatt hour if they buy from Hydro-Quebec, existing power from Upper Church.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I'm not aware of that. What I can tell you is our industrial rate will be broken down into two components, and if you think about it, it makes sense. There's the generation cost, because we have the block, or the Twinkle block of energy, and then we'll have a new market block, so there will be a block of energy which will be combined somehow or other out of those two.
So will they blend down? I mean,
you'll
have 76 on one and you'll have 5 on the other.
Well, it won't be 5, but it will be a blended rate that eventually will come up with a generation rate. But Muskrat Falls projects includes building of a generation line from Muskrat Falls to Churchill Falls. We still have to get to Labrador because the lines need to be upgraded, and the new transmission line will have to be built. The industrial customers will then pay their share of the cost of the transmission.
Yeah, I just wanted to back on the regulatory piece for a second. The legislative changes, when is the public going to get a first look at that? Is that going to be when you sort of bring it up in the House, or what's the idea there?
I'm not quite certain where we are with that in terms of the actual specifics. We're still working on the legislation, but it's something that normally a piece of legislation, as you're aware, is brought in and it's provided. A copy is provided. to the media, to the opposition, and then you move forward to a debate. But in this particular case, I'm just trying to think now. I haven't seen the proposed legislation for a while, but I don't. If there's anything there that's unusual or affects Muskrat Falls, we'll ensure that people know prior to the debate in the House of Assembly.
Okay. And the industrial rate, it was mentioned last week, there's an industrial rate policy was the way it was phrased, but is there going to be an actual, I guess, any actual dollar amounts associated with what comes out?
Yeah, we're the only province right now that doesn't have this industrial rates policy, and it's led to a negotiation of one at a time, for lack of a better term. But Labrador Iron Mines, when they opened last year, they were the first new mine, I think, or the last couple of years, they were the first new mine in 15 or 20 years. Not including, of course, what's taking place in Bay Verde. So that this one-off or dealing with the companies on an individual basis is not the way to go, that we're basing our policy on similar policies that exist in other provinces, and each province does have that kind of policy.
Yeah, but and the rate is going to be applicable provincially and not just for the Labrador?
No, this will be an industrial rates policy. We currently have the current provincial rate for the industrial forecast is $48, so for the industrial customers, $48 per megawatt hour. And historically, the industrial rates have always been lower than residential rates in other provinces.